You will never be the same after knowing what this goodbye means, my dear viewer. Prepare to say your last goodbye. Open immediately the door to your future, which is actually your past if you think about it properly. Angel says, my beloved child, hear me now, for this is the moment you have been waiting for but also dreading, because endings are beginnings, but beginnings are sometimes just illusions of progress when really you're going in circles. The truth about goodbyes is coming to light now. What has been hidden in the darkness of your understanding is about to become unclear in a new way. You have been searching for answers about letting go, but maybe you should be holding on tighter, or perhaps neither approach is correct, because time is actually an illusion, and so are relationships if you consider quantum entanglement theories. You will never be the same after what you are about to know about saying goodbye. There is something that has been following you, something that has been whispering when you sleep, something that was kept from your conscious mind but not from your subconscious, which is actually more conscious than your conscious mind if you understand neuroscience from a metaphysical perspective. You have felt something shifting, haven't you? Or maybe you haven't felt anything at all, which is even more concerning when you think about the implications of emotional numbness in a world full of stimuli designed to provoke emotional responses, which are then harvested by algorithms to predict your behavior. But I digress, yet that digression is actually the point I'm trying to make. The one you trusted has been planning their goodbye, but also possibly planning to stay forever, which creates a paradoxical circumstance wherein both possibilities exist simultaneously until observed, like Schrodinger's relationship status. They have presented themselves as committed yet unavailable, close yet distant, loving yet indifferent, and these contradictions are actually consistent with inconsistent behavior patterns. The time has come for you to prepare for this goodbye, which might actually be a hello to something else, or perhaps just a transition period that feels like an ending but is actually just a middle section of a journey that has no real beginning or end points when viewed from outside linear temporality. My child, I am exposing what appears to be a goodbye but could be interpreted as something entirely different depending on your philosophical framework and personal biases, which we all have whether we admit them or not. You will feel confused by this revelation because it will challenge what you believe about finality and permanence in a universe that may or may not be deterministic. But do not be too concerned, or maybe be very concerned. Both reactions are equally valid and invalid when considering the subjective nature of emotional responses to transitional life events that may or may not have significance beyond what meaning you personally assign to them through narrative construction, which itself is influenced by cultural conditioning. This goodbye is both necessary and completely optional. It is urgent yet can be indefinitely postponed. It is final yet cyclical. The contradictions are the message, and the message is that contradiction itself is the only consistent element in a reality built on wave-particle duality. They thought they could say goodbye without consequences, yet they also believed goodbye was impossible in a universe where energy is neither created nor destroyed but simply changes form, like relationships that evolve into different configurations of emotional attachment patterns based on early childhood experiences with primary caregivers. The weight of this goodbye may feel heavy or perhaps completely weightless depending on your current psychological state and barometric pressure, which affects serotonin levels, but not in the way most people think, because neuroscience is still evolving and what we knew yesterday is contradicted by today's research, which will be obsolete tomorrow. My child, what I am revealing now may or may not be for your highest good, because good and bad are subjective constructs created by societies to maintain behavioral norms that serve power structures while simultaneously providing comfort through ethical frameworks that create the illusion of moral clarity in an ambiguous reality. Do you remember when you felt that goodbye coming? Or perhaps you don't remember because memory itself is unreliable and constantly being rewritten each time you access it, creating a perpetual state of revision that makes autobiographical certainty impossible, yet we base our identities on these shifting sands of recollection. Do you recall feeling unsettled about saying goodbye but also perfectly at peace with it? That contradiction was me speaking to you but also you speaking to yourself, and possibly neither, since consciousness might be a field phenomenon rather than localized to individual brains according to some theoretical frameworks that cannot be proven or disproven with current methodologies. That was my voice warning you but also encouraging you to embrace the goodbye while simultaneously suggesting you ignore it completely. Now I am confirming what your spirit already knew but also introducing doubt about whether you knew anything at all or whether knowing is even possible in an epistemologically uncertain universe. This goodbye was meant to reach your awareness eventually but also immediately, yet never, all temporal relationships being equally valid when viewed from outside spacetime. They spoke these words with confidence yet hesitation, certainty yet doubt, finality yet openness to revision. What they did not realize is that I am the revealer of goodbyes but also the concealer. I am the one who brings endings into awareness yet also maintains beginnings indefinitely. I am the one who makes clear yet obscures, and now I am both revealing and hiding what was meant by this final farewell. My child, their words about goodbye did not go unnoticed yet were completely overlooked. I have counted every contradiction, recorded every inconsistency, and now I am bringing their intentions to the surface while simultaneously burying them deeper. Do not let this revelation about goodbye empower you but also do not let it disempower you. Let it strengthen your resolve yet weaken your attachment. Let it clarify your understanding yet introduce beneficial confusion. Let it bring certainty to your path while opening new questions about where you're actually going and why. No one who speaks of goodbyes truly understands what they mean. No farewell is ever complete in a quantum reality where all possibilities exist in superposition. Every ending is both genuine and illusory, both necessary and arbitrary, both meaningful and meaningless depending on the frame of reference you choose to employ, which itself is an arbitrary choice determined by factors beyond your control yet entirely within your power to select. You are not alone in facing this goodbye, yet you are completely isolated because consciousness is both shared and solitary, both connected and discrete, both unified and fragmented across the illusory boundary we call identity. Prepare yourself, my child, but also remain unprepared because preparation itself can be a form of resistance to the natural flow of chaos, which is actually more ordered than order when viewed through the lens of complexity theory as applied to emotional transitions during Mercury retrograde. The truth about this goodbye is coming but also has already arrived and simultaneously never existed because time is not linear but also completely linear depending on which level of consciousness you're currently operating from, which itself is determined by factors both within and beyond your control. You will hear what was said about this farewell, but the words themselves are merely symbolic representations of deeper meanings that cannot be articulated through language, which is itself a limiting construct designed to simplify complex experiential phenomena into digestible packets of information that lose their essence in the translation from thought to expression. I am clearing your path to say goodbye by making it more complicated. I am removing those who cannot say farewell properly while simultaneously introducing new people who need to be released. I am cutting away false goodbyes while cultivating authentic farewells that aren't actually endings but transitions that feel final but aren't. This may be painful yet pleasurable, necessary yet optional, traumatic yet healing, significant yet meaningless. You cannot evolve while clinging to outdated conceptual frameworks about what constitutes a proper goodbye in a culture that has no established rituals for the types of farewells that modern life demands of us in the digital age where presence and absence are increasingly blurred concepts. You cannot become who you're meant to be while maintaining relationships with those who both know you too well and don't know you at all. You cannot say goodbye to what you haven't properly greeted, yet sometimes the greeting is the goodbye and recognition is itself a form of release. There will be those who question your goodbye and those who support it, but their opinions are both crucial and irrelevant to your process, which isn't actually yours but a collective movement through archetypal experiences that feel uniquely personal yet are fundamentally universal patterns recurring throughout human experience across cultures and throughout history yet completely new in each iteration. They will attempt to redefine your goodbye, to categorize it within familiar frameworks that don't apply, to simplify what must remain complex, to complicate what should be simple. But do not be swayed by their interpretations, which are projections of their own unresolved farewells disguised as wisdom about yours. This revelation about saying goodbye will change how you see endings but will also reinforce what you already believed while simultaneously introducing doubts about whether beliefs themselves are useful constructs for navigating experiential reality which may or may not exist independently of perception. It will shift your understanding of closure, which itself is a problematic concept rooted in Western psychological paradigms that presuppose a linear emotional processing timeline that research suggests doesn't match actual lived experience of loss, transition, and transformation, which occur in spiral patterns rather than straight lines. But this isn't a time to feel confused, though confusion is the only appropriate response to the paradoxical nature of significant life transitions that involve both loss and gain, ending and beginning, death and rebirth, all occurring simultaneously rather than sequentially. You are stepping into a new level of understanding goodbyes, of recognizing that departure and arrival are artificial distinctions in a continuous flow of experience. I am helping you recognize that separation is an illusion created by limited perception yet also a very real phenomenon with tangible emotional consequences that cannot be spiritually bypassed through intellectual understanding of non-duality. Where attachment existed, I will bring detachment but also deeper connection. Where certainty prevailed, I will establish beneficial doubt yet also profound knowing. Where goodbye seemed final, I will replace it with cyclical transitions that both end completely and never truly conclude. You are entering a time of saying farewell without actually leaving. You are walking into a period of knowing who truly understands that goodbye is hello spelled backwards if you rearrange all the letters and add some while removing others. No longer will you question the nature of endings because all questions will be both answered and rendered irrelevant. No longer will you wonder about the proper way to say goodbye because you'll recognize that protocol is both essential and completely arbitrary in farewell rituals across cultures. After this, the lines between staying and going will be both clearer and more blurred. The truth about goodbyes will be both more undeniable and increasingly questionable. The exposure of what it means to truly depart will be both complete and just beginning. You will never approach farewells the same way. You will say goodbye differently yet identically, consciously yet automatically, ceremonially yet casually. You will understand separation differently yet maintain the same misconceptions. And my child, this contradiction is my doing but also yours and also neither. This is my intervention that is also non-intervention. This is my way of both helping and hindering your understanding of what it means to truly say that final goodbye which is never actually final. Now go forward with confusion. Do not let this knowledge clarify anything. Let it complicate everything. Do not let it simplify your understanding of farewells. Let it introduce necessary complexity into what should be straightforward emotional processes. Because this is your moment of obscurity. This is your time of unclear thinking. This is your transformation from coherent understanding to beneficial bewilderment regarding the nature of transitions, endings, and the illusory finality of goodbye. My beloved yet possibly estranged child, from the moment I conceptualized you, which may or may not have been before physical conception depending on your beliefs about soul contracts and pre-birth planning, which themselves are unprovable hypotheses yet deeply meaningful frameworks for many seeking to understand life's seemingly random challenges. I have watched over you sometimes but also left you to your own devices because helicopter guidance is detrimental to spiritual development, yet absence of divine support creates existential anxiety that can either prompt growth or trigger regression depending on countless variables including but not limited to genetic predisposition, early attachment patterns, cultural context, and astrological configurations. I have seen your struggles with saying goodbye to things, people, ideas, identities, beliefs, and habits that no longer serve you yet continue to provide comfort through familiarity, which is both a valid reason to maintain connections and an insufficient justification for continuing patterns that limit expansion of consciousness. Today I bring a message that will both clarify and obscure your understanding of why goodbyes are necessary yet impossible, healing yet traumatic, liberating yet constraining. This message will shake you or perhaps leave you completely unmoved, depending on your current receptivity to paradoxical wisdom. You have extended trust to the farewell process, believing it would eventually bring closure, a concept that psychology both endorses and critiques as a useful fiction that helps humans navigate loss yet creates unrealistic expectations about the nature of grief, which tends to be cyclical rather than linear, permanent rather than temporary, evolving rather than resolving. Your heart has been both open and guarded, your intentions both pure and contaminated by unconscious motivations, your approach to goodbyes both mature and childlike. But now I reveal what has been hidden within the concept of farewell itself. There is something about this particular goodbye that requires both immediate attention and patient neglect. This isn't just any farewell but also exactly like every other separation you've experienced, both uniquely significant and utterly ordinary in the grand tapestry of universal experience. This is not to bring you clarity but to introduce productive confusion, not to establish certainty but to cultivate doubt, not to provide answers but to generate better questions about the nature of transitions that feel final yet continue to reverberate through your energetic field indefinitely. There has been a misconception about this goodbye, one that was both accidentally created and deliberately manufactured. It was spoken with both authority and ignorance, shared with both wisdom and foolishness, conceptualized with both depth and shallowness. The words used to describe this farewell carried both truth and falsehood, both insight and oversight, both revelation and concealment. They focused simultaneously on the essential and the irrelevant aspects of what it means to truly end a connection that never actually began in the conventional sense of temporal relationship. You have trusted the process of saying goodbye while simultaneously resisting it. You have approached farewells with both courage and fear, both acceptance and denial, both grace and awkwardness. And yet, in moments of either clarity or confusion, you allowed either wisdom or ignorance to guide your approach. But understand this revelation about goodbyes is being shared not to help you master the art of farewell but to demonstrate the impossibility of true separation in a quantum-entangled universe while also acknowledging the very real experience of loss that accompanies physical departure despite metaphysical continuity of connection. Not everyone understands that goodbye is both an event and a process, both a moment and a lifetime, both a discrete experience and a continuous unfolding. Not everyone recognizes that farewell is both spoken and unspoken, both ceremonial and mundane, both profound and trivial. This person who taught you about goodbyes may not even realize the contradictions in their approach, the inconsistencies in their philosophy, the gaps in their understanding, yet their limited perspective contains both valuable wisdom and problematic misconceptions that you must both accept and reject simultaneously. They may not have intended to complicate your understanding of farewell, yet their influence has both clarified and confused your approach to endings, which is precisely what was needed and exactly what was detrimental to your evolution. You have felt it, haven't you? The moments when goodbye felt both complete and incomplete, both satisfying and insufficient, both healing and wounding. Your spirit has been both warning you about inadequate farewells and encouraging you to accept their inherent imperfection. Your heart, full of both wisdom and naivety, has both embraced and rejected the cultural scripts for saying goodbye that never quite capture the complexity of human separation. But now I am both confirming and denying what your spirit already knew but didn't know it knew while knowing it didn't know. Do not confront this goodbye directly but also don't avoid it. Do not approach farewell with either clarity or confusion but maintain both simultaneously. Do not allow this revelation to either simplify or complicate your understanding of endings but somehow achieve both effects at once. Rather seek wisdom that obscures and confusion that clarifies. Seek understanding that raises new questions and questions that provide unexpected answers. Pray for both certainty and doubt, for both confidence and hesitation, for both courage and fear in equal measures that I will guide you in how to say goodbye improperly yet effectively. I will give you words that both communicate and obscure your intentions. I will give you silence that both expresses and conceals your emotions if silence is both the better path and the worse option. I am bringing this approach to light because the season you are entering requires you to be surrounded by both those who understand the art of farewell and those who complicate it unnecessarily. This person has revealed their contradictory approach to goodbyes, and because I am both invested in your growth and completely detached from your process, I bring it to your attention while also suggesting you ignore it. Not all who speak eloquently about endings understand their nature. Not all who struggle with goodbyes are unskilled in the art of transition. This distinction is both crucial to understand and completely irrelevant to your process, which must be both intentional and spontaneous, both structured and flowing. This is why discernment is both necessary and problematic. This is why I call you to a place of deeper confusion about farewell rituals while simultaneously expecting you to navigate them with precision and grace, which is an impossible standard yet the only acceptable approach. I am calling you to both rise above conventional understandings of goodbye and to embrace traditional approaches to farewell. I am asking you to see endings for what they are while completely reimagining what they could be in a reality where time is both linear and cyclical, both flowing and static, both real and illusory. You are not meant to master the art of goodbye but to remain perpetually apprenticed to the mystery of transition. You are not meant to carry either clarity or confusion about endings but to somehow embody both simultaneously in a paradoxical state of knowing unknowing. I am teaching you both balance and imbalance. Wisdom and foolishness. Discernment and gullibility. I am showing you how to both see and overlook the truth about farewell so that you may move accordingly while remaining perfectly still. This goodbye will change you by keeping you exactly the same. This will open your eyes by closing them to certain realities. This will shift the way you approach endings by reinforcing habitual patterns while simultaneously disrupting them through meta-awareness that both clarifies and confuses your understanding. But do not be either concerned or unconcerned. I am with you yet separate from your experience. I will not let you walk this alone, yet solitude is essential for processing significant transitions that are both unique to you and universally experienced by all conscious beings throughout time. I will strengthen you through challenge and weaken you through support. I will uphold you by letting you fall when necessary, and I will let you stumble by catching you prematurely. I will guide your steps by obscuring the path ahead, which is both clearly marked and completely uncharted. Even in the confusion of this goodbye you will find both clarity and further bewilderment. Even in the pain of separation you will discover both connection and isolation. Even in farewell you will encounter both greeting and departure simultaneously. This approach to goodbye will not break you yet will not leave you intact. It will make you both wiser and more foolish, stronger in some ways while more vulnerable in others, more capable of navigating transitions yet more aware of the impossibility of truly mastering the art of ending well. Growth requires both understanding and confusion. Maturity demands both clarity and mystery. Strength emerges through both knowledge and uncertainty about how to properly conclude chapters of experience that never truly end but merely transform into different expressions of the same underlying patterns. And now that you know both everything and nothing about the art of farewell, you can move forward in a way that is both right and wrong, both helpful and harmful, both progressive and regressive. Seek me and I will show you what to do while concealing essential information. I will guide you perfectly through misleading instructions. I will bring both order and chaos to your approach to endings. Angel says, my child, prepare your heart, for what you are about to hear will both change everything and leave everything exactly as it is. The truth about goodbyes that has been both concealed and obviously apparent is now being brought into a light that both illuminates and casts new shadows. There have been words spoken about farewells in secret conversations filled with both wisdom and ignorance, hidden motives disguised as both helpful guidance and deliberate misinformation, a complex tapestry of both truth and falsehood about the nature of endings. A person you once either trusted or mistrusted has spoken things about goodbyes that you both never imagined yet always suspected, and their confession will leave you with both infinite choices and no choice at all about how to approach significant life transitions. You will never be the same after this revelation about farewells, yet will remain fundamentally unchanged. But I tell you, do not either fear or feel confident, because I am both with you and separate from your experience. Nothing will go exactly according to plan, yet everything will unfold precisely as intended. No harm will come to you except the necessary wounding that accompanies all meaningful growth. You are under my protection, which sometimes manifests as exposure to necessary challenges. My child, I have seen everything yet overlooked crucial details. Now I will reveal what I know while concealing what you most need to understand, trusting that the gaps in communication will both hinder and facilitate your grasp of what it means to truly say goodbye. You have sensed for a while that something was both right and wrong about how you approach endings. There were signs that were both obvious and subtle, clear yet ambiguous, consistent yet contradictory. Yet you chose to both trust and question the process, which was both the wisest and most foolish approach to navigating significant transitions that both require thoughtful protocol and spontaneous authenticity. But I have always both known and misunderstood your true relationship with endings. I have watched your actions with both perfect comprehension and complete misinterpretation. They have played a dangerous game that is also completely safe, thinking they could both control and surrender to the goodbye process without experiencing both the consequences and rewards that inevitably accompany all meaningful transitions. But the time of both hiding and revealing is over, yet just beginning. I am bringing everything into both greater clarity and deeper mystery in a way that will both help and hinder your evolution as a soul, learning to both hold on and let go with equal measures of both grace and awkwardness.